Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey, clickbaity political. Yeah, thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege. Take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let our voice be heard. Every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.
Welcome one and all to another episode of Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. I am one of your three hosts, Marcus Farrell, coming to you live from somewhere in America right now. I am joined by Pastor Benjamin Dixon and Teddy Pendergrass.
Teddy P.
You know, with wheelchair and all. Mayor Mondale Robinson. And we are coming to you live. Listen, Mondale, as always, I will start with you since you're the one that is doing a lot of healing. Man, I hope everything is going on with your healing. We spoke yesterday. How you feeling, brother?
Man, listen, I am favored, highly blessed, and getting stronger every day. And I think you know, we serve a jealous God, an angry God, but he don't yell. So when he's talking to you, he's whispering. So his anger is not for show, it's for seriousness. And I think for so long, God has been trying to tell me, slow down and busy yourself with what I put you here for. And I've been ignoring all the signs of it. So I think he had to let me make a stupid decision so he can pull me out of the decision and remind me that he is the great I am. So, you know, I'm more reflective right now than I've ever been as an adult as it pertains to like what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm focused. I've written 4 chapters towards my book since I've been laying down. And also it is amazing how what I'm reading for my spiritual is connecting daily to the political stuff and shit I need to respond to. So I'm super excited, man. Thank you for asking.
Wow. Cool, man. You gotta let it go yet?
Let it go. I know what, you know, I think people don't understand like I need that type of comedy. Like some people will be bothered by that. My mom was joking with me like the day I came out of surgery, I was still on fentanyl. I looked at my mom, I was like, oh, they got me on oxygen like you, because my mom on oxygen. She looked at me, she's like, that tree in that light post calling your name. You know what I'm saying? Oh, like, so you know, that's just like the nature.
And it's your mom, so you got to be careful not to you're going to have to walk some things back.
Nah, I go in on my mama, bro. Like, we one of those families, dog. I heard that, Marcus. I got you. I got
a little good news for y'all, man. Listen, Restorative Roots. I got my Restorative Roots, my company. We have been picked up by a New Jersey company as of Friday of last week. So some of our products will actually be in the New Jersey market as the market opens up. I've been trying my hardest to get it to some of the Atlanta markets, but I haven't passed the smell tests for medical marijuana here in the state. Plus, it just needs to be recreational, so I'm probably going to wait. But some of our vapes and one of our edibles that is branded, not grown by my company, but we did take someone else's stuff that we like a whole lot and branded it in our thing. I'm making my money from it, and I also have a certain percentage that goes back to Black communities wherever we're doing work. So I'm having a goddamn great week. weekend. Had a great weekend. Memorial Day weekend. Had a crazy surprise. Not even gonna go on about it, but last Friday I got something just nuts happen. And then yeah, it is. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Pastor Ben, how was your weekend, brother?
Hey man, my weekend was good. I'm still locked in the grind. Just 18-hour days, just getting this work out, getting this work done. Mundell, man. Sometimes, you know, and I hear you. Sometimes God will intentionally sit you down so that you can get done what needs to be done. And you know, you don't always like the way it's done. But sometimes God got to pull that rug from underneath you, and you hit your bottom and sit down for a little while. And I've been sitting down in the pocket for a real good about 4 years now at different levels of it. And I'm looking forward to reading your book, man. Congratulations on those 4 chapters.
Thank you.
And Marcus, man, congratulations, man, because I know you've been working on Restorative Roots for what, 5 years? Oh, wow.
Yeah, 5 years now. 6 years actually.
Wow.
6 years. That's the car.
Hang on, hold. Let me put that on full screen.
Hold on. Let me show you the other side. That don't even look like nobody should have survived that. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And let me show you the other side, bro. This is where I was. Ceiling crushed in.
Wow.
That's why my whole left side of my body broke. You see the
Wow.
ceiling? That's why I got
Yeah.
lacerations. The blood, and I won't get that graphic picture on the front where the blood is on the glass. Car rolled.
Juice for breakfast and insha for dessert. Somebody go to pancakes. I just sip this
This
is
is a-
I'm not trying to be funny, man. That's some through the wire type.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a reminder. Like when I got out, so I don't even remember pulling myself out the car because I passed out because I was in so much pain. But when the responders got there, the first responders and the police officer, they thought I was capping. I could tell it by I'm like looking at their face. Of course, I'm in and out because of the pain. But then I'm looking at them and they're like, this Negro is covering for somebody. First of all, how he got out the passenger side in this condition, but also how he survived the driver's side. You know what I mean? And I was thinking in a clear mind, like, you don't know my God. Like, and I think for me, for so long, bro, I've been like the Israelites complaining, like, Negro, you brought me out of Egypt just to have me not be able to drink good water, and I can't even get Fuji water in the desert. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm hoping that Fuji water state. Like I know you need to stop grumbling about what God already did. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So
man,
yeah,
so
man.
many people would have not walked away from what you walked away from, man.
The doctor told me, the surgeon who did my surgery was like, there's people been in lesser accidents that did not survive.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then for me to like, bro, Saturday will be 3 weeks, y'all. I got a broken back, broken ribs. I'm already in a wheelchair. I'm already getting around. I did 400 feet on the walker today, dog.
Wow.
And I can't. My left leg is foot flat for balance, but no weight. So I'm walking around on one leg and all upper strength. So, man, God is real. And I don't, I'm not trying to tell people how and what to believe. But for me, I'm a whole different me right now, bro. This is a new Damascus road experience, bro. You understand what I'm talking about? Road to Damascus, a real experience, not the fake one that Paul had.
Wait a minute. Wait. We're gonna have to talk about that one. Man, but listen, bro, look, I don't know when, I don't know where, but one of these days we're gonna meet up in the same city, and your tall behind gonna be healed completely, and my short behind gonna be right next to you, and we're gonna shout, man, we're gonna praise God. Cause brother, when we really just can you pull up that picture one more time? I just need people to really, because I had no idea, and I had doubly had no idea because you were on Twitter the next day saying, you know what I mean, like
right. Talking
Yeah,
trash.
like going in. So
Talking
your
trash.
mind was still about you, man. And that's just, I just got to put on. Hang on, I'm making full screen one more time. My goodness, bro. Man. And you were able to get out, and you're here with us right now tonight.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Whoo! Hang on, let me hit this. Which button I'm looking for? That's what I'm looking for. Man, that's enough to shout right there.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool calling you like away from this show, Mondale. Like
Yeah.
and hearing your voice, right? Like it's kind of surreal a little bit, right? Because like here's the thing. I don't know if anybody has ever gone through major procedure, whether it's an accident or cancer, or like whenever somebody's digging in your body and replacing things or fixing it, right? So shout out to anybody who's ever had a procedure. I mean, you know, from like the shock and awe of not even just being at home and waking up in the hospital room, right? Like you don't like there's some I had 2 major procedures on my stomach, as you guys know very well, and they're cutting guts out, right? Like, and I mean, I'm not trying to make my situation Mondale's, but it's just that I understand the experience of like having to be in a hospital and like not being home, being in pain where you remember just a couple of days ago, damn, I didn't feel this a couple of days ago, and then you make one movement, right? But then there's this awesome part about healing that is every single, and this is healing in general across the board, from mental healing to physical healing to spiritual healing to healing after you're getting fired from a job. Every single day, right? Every day there's like one thing that is like, dang, that feels better than yesterday. And at first, especially when it first happens, you know, you're like, hey man, this ain't working. Whatever medication that you guys are giving me right now, it ain't working. Whatever physical therapy that you guys are trying to teach me about right now, it ain't working.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, one day, in my case, it was a day where I actually sat up in my bed. I sat up. I didn't have to roll up, didn't need assistance, right? And Mondale, I'm pretty certain that day when is gonna come very soon, when you like are able to stand on your bad leg again, right? And I wish you all the best, man. And it's just really to hear. Listen, not to move this thing forward, but I want to move this thing forward real quick.
Drive the train.
There is I have a very serious issue with, and I was going to do this Saturday morning actually, but I decided not to. I have a very serious issue with Jason Whitlock. While I'm talking about Jason Whitlock, Ben, would you mind pulling up all of his tweets, right? Just pull up his Twitter page, because it's not going to be hard to find my issue with Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is the epitome of a coon. Raccoon. Coon. He is the epitome of it. And I'm very careful to like throw out accusations about somebody, but I gotta say this right here. One day, Jason, your gig is gonna be up.
Yeah.
The consistent anti-blackness of your rhetoric, whether you have people on your show, whether your Twitter page, whether it's your history in sports, you don't have anything good to say about Black people. You hate everything about your skin color. You are Uncle Ruckus. You are the worst of the worst when it comes down to if anything white, if anything Black happens that's negative, you will go above and beyond to call it out and to say everything that you possibly can say about Black culture and the culture that raised your ignorant sellout ass. In comparison, there's been a lot of achievements by Black Americans since you've been on air that you refuse to highlight. There's a young sister right here in Atlanta, Georgia, who has somewhere around $1 million worth of scholarships. And if you go on Twitter, you can look for the girl. She has every single medal that you possibly can have. This girl has been accepted to more colleges you could possibly think about, right? This is a woman that a young woman that you probably elevate on your channel, right? And you know what, I'm gonna look for her at that so we can talk about her also. But instead of doing things like that, you take everything that's negative about the culture. We can go to any tweet. Yep. He's the only person that I know that is black that you can go to almost every single tweet and he's saying something that's anti-black, and this guy gets platformed consistently. It took me a little while to get to this point where I wanted to actually say something about Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is one of these guys that uses white terminology and black skin, right? And he's also a black fascist, right? But here's the difference. He's worse than Kanye, because at least Kanye has an idea of his blackness. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying everything Kanye says is good, but he has an idea of his blackness. He understands what racism is. He just tries to exploit it to make y'all spend money on it. Versus Jason Whitlock, who organically is a tool of white supremacy. He's a tool of it. Bring up his tweets. Ben, just read out one of his tweets. You can almost go to any one of his tweets. If anybody black does anything wrong, he's going to say something about it. Read them out, Ben.
The WNBA honors George Floyd like he's Jesus, like his blood offers us salvation and grace. People like me who don't buy into this also happen to be fans of Caitlin Clark. But how did he link George Floyd with Caitlin Clark? Before Caitlin Clark, they existed in a bubble where everybody that paid attention to the WNBA thought exactly like them. Now the Clark fans call bogus, so the WNBA wants us gone.
Keep going. Go to another one. Just another random one.
Just before, hang on.
It's just so easy to do with this guy. I've never seen someone so black have nothing but negative stuff to say about black people. Continue on. It's very easy for you.
Let's see.
I understand. I can understand being a conservative. I can't understand being as anti-black as this guy is, who gets platformed.
I want to point out a key word he's putting out here because he's one of the main. He promotes the whole black fatigue phenomenon. So when he says exhaustion here, he's talking about black fatigue. So he's literally aiding and abetting white supremacists with their agenda to attack. But here it is. Another one, fatigue. Black Lives Matters. BLM activists kneel in front of Target for the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd dying, and they call it fatigue. Just on there he is mocking the. Of course he's gonna team up with Ashley Tommy Sotomayor. You know, this guy, I think he has me blocked. But these are two top level, the highest level of raccoons in this country.
Now here's my question for it, right? It will be legitimate to me, and this is why I don't want anybody watching the Clickbaity political thirst trap shows, and also follows any one of our channel, which you need to like, subscribe, and share to right now. Here's why what I don't want my people to do, because here's what I want more people to start calling out, and I do it all the time on Twitter, and I think I want you to do it also. When you see these guys, you should ask these guys, when have you said something bad about white people? When have you said anything negative about the Latinx community? When have you said anything bad about? And here's the thing. So he's tailoring this stuff to a specific audience. I'm not going to tread thinly when I say this right here, man. I have a problem with any person who's not willing to call out. If they're willing to call out themselves, then you should be willing to call out other people. And if I'm willing to call out other people, I'm willing to call out ourselves. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of violence in our community. I think that there's a lot of systemic reasons for it, but I also think that we have a very big problem in our music. We have a very big problem in what we elevate, and we have a very big problem in what we teach our kids across the board when it comes down to how to be a man, proper woman within our society. I'm willing to call that out. I'm willing to say that YN culture and gangster culture is a bunch of bullshit. I'm willing to tell you that checking in with anybody in anybody's neighborhood, if I go out of town, I'm not going to do it. Y'all just going to have to come after me. That's a part of our culture. That's a bad part of our culture. Boom. See, I'm willing to take accountability, right? I don't make my bed every day. Sometimes I don't clean up my room. I take accountability. That's what I like to do, because taking accountability is cool. But if people decide to not force accountability on other folks, but only wants to detriment themselves, you're being used as a tool, and I can't stand it. I say that we shut down Jason Whitlock. I say that everybody right now.
You can't shut down Jason Whitlock.
Oh no, there is a way we can, because time within time it will be inevitable. Mondale always remember something about me, my brother.
Go ahead.
I always feel that righteousness will win out in the end.
I appreciate that. Except for, and you know, this is just me. Not saying that your stance is wrong. I just know how long and far whiteness will support a black face that's doing the dirty work. I just know how many resources they'll put behind a Jason Whitlock. And I think, you know, you have too much to do work-wise, life-wise, to outrun that white dollar that's backing him. Like Jason Whitlock is his anti-blackness is well funded, and it will always be well funded as long as white people need to make black people feel other or less than. So that's what I meant by that. I also want to say something. You know, I don't feel the need to talk about the checking in or what the world called, what the psychological world called the subcultures, simply because every community has subcultures. The news and the way that the world focus on black subculture, they tend to demonize it way more than what we do. We just watched the federal government say that they're gonna not prosecute or cut down on the officers that prosecute white glove crimes, or whatever they call it, white collar crimes more. We also watched for years, not just white people, but even black people fantasize and idolize mobster movies.
Yes.
Most of these movies based on real life people.
Yes. And
you can't tell me you know a torture worse than what mobs did across this country. So the idea that black gangs are something unique to our community, it kind of lets off all the other communities. I would argue that everybody has that subculture, but the way that the world focus on black Americans is inappropriate, because if you look at the stats, black people commit crimes at the same rate as white people. We're just sentenced a hell of a lot more. Black people use drugs at the same rate as white people. We're just sentenced a whole lot more. We get more time. We make up more people in prison percentage wise than when it comes to our regular population. And I think that is an offshoot of the criminal justice system and America too. So I think I hear what you're saying, Marcus, about accountability, and it's extremely important. That is not to say that black people are perfect. It is to say that we are human, and all humans have that subculture where people are breaking laws. I would say that there's no pathology in black people, though, that makes us worse than anybody else. And what you're talking about, Whitlock, is a fact. And I think the problem with people like Whitlock is they're also a byproduct of white supremacy. And they're as old as this country. Right? I mean, like Malcolm X wasn't talking about house Negroes and field Negroes for sport. You understand what I'm saying? The debate between W. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington didn't just happen because people saw the world in a different way. It was because people were arguing the same point of view. And I think, you know, for us in this moment, I think it is two things can be true. There's a criminal aspect to America that needs to be checked for all Americans, and also the Jason Whitlocks of the world need to be shut down.
Well, you know, here's and I thank you for saying that. Here's where I was going with it. For someone who comes from a platform that is supposed to be sort of unbiased, right? Sports platform, right? He made his bones off of talking about black athletes, whether good or bad, performances, whether good or bad, right? When I say take accountability, right, it's sort of like this right here. It's awesome to have an opinion, right? But an issue that I would personally have is like this right here, which he's done in the past, right? You take a Michael Vick, right, where you give Michael Vick all the smoke in the world for his dogfighting activities, but yet Baker Mayfield is a golden child in your eyes, even though Baker Mayfield was one of the wildest, craziest, psychotic quarterbacks coming in, did not even learn his playbook because he was too busy partying. There has been a lot of criminal, and didn't say a word about Brett Favre when he was stealing. When he was stealing welfare money from Mississippi,
or Ben Roethlisberger season after season with sexual assault charges.
So what I'm saying is, I guess where I was coming from is, like, here's my thing: right is right and wrong is wrong. I'm not sitting up here saying that black folks do anything more or less, because I would never say that. As a matter of fact, I can probably verbalize why we do some things we do much better than Jason Whitlock can. My thing is that, like, these guys with these platforms, he's blatantly serving the white agenda that needs to just. And when I say he must be stopped, what I mean by that is, at this point, all we have is our fingers, our actions, and our money, right? It's okay to go over there and troll him, right? Clickbaity squad, white folks, especially white people watching the show. It's okay to go over there. As a white person, you should go over there and say, you're anti-black, buddy. Because this is the thing about allyship, and I'm not asking for these actions to happen. All I'm saying, and there's a lot more like him. We can go across the board. Last week I had a conversation about FBA. I want to say something about that real quick. The danger for me, my thing is this right here. My thing is always going to be this right here. I just want a numbers game. I want as many black folks voting for the things that we need as much as possible. But the danger for the Jason Whitlocks and the FBAs and certain groups out there is, don't serve the Republican, don't serve a conservative principle using black vernacular, right? Using black terminology. That's something that I fundamentally have a problem with. And I'm going to actually start my days off on Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap, calling out the folks that literally do harm to our community that look like us. It's fine, right? But I also have the same amount of smoke for the white folks who do us like that also, right?
That's right.
So me being from a state, me living in a state where a couple of miles down the road, the largest Confederate war monument in the world sits in Stone Mountain, that should be destroyed, sandblasted off the planet Earth as we speak right now. By the way, Stone Mountain, if you guys didn't know this, was a direct response to the integration of schools. Y'all know Stone Mountain wasn't built until the schools got integrated. When the schools got integrated, they built and carved that monument.
Didn't know that.
They started in the beginning of the 1900s, but they didn't finish it because they just lost their way, and then they didn't have the money. But they definitely
they got that money.
Definitely doing this. Yeah, definitely doing this.
It was a direct response.
Yeah.
To what's your light skinned brother's name? I can't believe I can't remember his name. Supreme Court Justice. Our guy.
Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall. It was a direct response to Thurgood Marshall's work on integration.
Yeah, the joke about Stone Mountain is it took them Bamas almost 100 years to build that thing. It is absolutely daunting. I don't know if y'all know Paige from Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR. Her and I were still trying to fundraise for a documentary on NPR about Stone Mountain, because for me, I love talking about Africa and its effect on America, even when Americans don't know it. People don't know that Stone Mountain is the largest piece of exposed granite in the world, right? It is the largest piece of exposed granite in the world. It actually was formed. It's a round mountain. It was formed the same time North Carolina mountains formed. That's why these are old mountains are round, not peaky. Peaky mountains are pretty young. That's why they're so tall, because the world hasn't had the time to affect them. They were Stone Mountain in North Carolina, the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina were formed when the earth was splitting apart. Pangea was splitting apart, and they crashed into each other. So that is Africa. That is rock from Africa that crashed into Georgia. That is literally rock from Africa that they carved Confederate generals and horses the size of giant effing buildings into. Think about that. The largest piece of exposed granite in the world is from Africa on North America continent, but carved with white supremacy. If that is not the Black experience, Black people stolen from Africa, crashed on American East Coast, and painted with white supremacy, my God,
what is?
What is?
Hey, just quick history fact. What is the university that is on the southernmost point of the Appalachian Mountains? Florida A&M University, the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and somewhere around 7,000 feet above sea level.
The highest of 7 hills, huh?
The highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So anyway, thanks for listening to my rant about that sellout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, punch a Nazi. If I see you in the streets, Jason, we got some words.
Yeah, man. I'm just reflecting on the fact that there's an entire Legion of Coon. That is
Legion of Coon.
Yeah, Legion of Coon, man. That right now is laying down some nasty work for white supremacy. I'm gonna drop a study this week that I did on Twitter using Grok and using Elon's AI and sorting through millions. I don't even know how many hundreds of thousands of tweets it sorted through, but Grok sounded the alarm. Once I showed it and we analyze it, it shows that there's about a 30 to 30% chance of mob violence that mirrors the Tulsa race massacre against Black people in the next 12 months. 50% chance of localized individual violence against Black people in the next 12 months as a direct result of the narratives on Twitter, right? So it's like, remember the hashtag is Twitter real life. And we see how we know from Dylan Roof to the Tops Buffalo shooter and his manifesto to the Dollar General shooter down in Jacksonville and his manifesto. We know these people are getting radicalized online. And so we got the data, and I'm going to drop it soon. But what's so nasty about this Legion of Coon right now is that they are Black folks who are seeding the same narrative that is working these white supremacists up into a violent rage against Black people. So you got these folks like Jason Whitlock and Ashley Tommy Sotomayor and all the rest of them who are literally feeding white racists who want violence the narratives that they need to jump up and bring violence to the Black community. And so, yeah, I got no problem. We can rant on them any time of the week, twice on Sundays, because they are literally setting this country up. They are literally aiding and abetting the next race conflict, race war, race massacre, however you want to put it. But there's a real present threat coming towards Black people. And in our analysis, one of the names that came up, one of the top names that came up around these narratives, hashtag Black fatigue, was Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, it is tiring seeing this, but it's also time for Marcus to do his Marcus thing. And I will say this right here: there is a responsibility for folks who want something on the left to start empowering the opposite voices of these people. Right, the time is now. Right. So don't produce a Gavin Newsom or a Rahm Emanuel or anybody for president when they've been silent during this time period. See, I'm calling this out for a reason, because there will be a time period in the near future where somebody's going to be asking our community for our vote again. Right. Do these people actually see the groundswell of, or do they have to wait for Black people to start getting killed and killing back, excuse my language, in the streets for them to actually say something? Are they going to nip it in the head? Are they going to have the courage to want to win these southern states in this Democratic primary right now? Right? I say these things because I don't want to say them during the election season. Hey, Monday, you all right, bro? Take some meds, boy. I got some weed I got some cannabis. I got some product for you, bro. You might want to. Yeah, I know, but
let me send you my, because I still got physical pain in my left side.
I'm just capping. You're just trying to get some shit for free. Anyway,
I'm not capping, but I will take it for free. Go ahead.
listen, this is what I'm saying, right? Like, this is important. I think this is important. So y'all can understand where I come from during the primary when I was like, where were you? What were you doing? Why all of a sudden magically, and this is not just negative, right? Why all of a sudden magically we're not going to hear these narratives about, okay, there was a bunch of anti-blackness in this state, but as your president, I'm going to create an environment to do X, Y, and Z to stop and counteract these things. If they're not talking about it right now, then this is what I mean by earning the black vote. This is what I mean by because I don't want nobody mad at me this time around when I don't want either one of you brothers mad at me when I say, hey man, you remember when I was asking about, you remember 12 months before the thing that happened, where the thing that happened and all of a sudden CNN and they had choppers rolling around and filming the thing that happened when the white folks tried to come to Atlanta and start the race war or whatever the hell happened? Who was talking about these things at that moment? Are you going to sit back and let things clear out? What kind of person wants to be the leader of the free nation, the leader of a free world, the anti-Trump person, and is not saying things about these things right now? I don't want nobody pissed off at me when I say, where was Gavin Newsom, when he's the only person that's running against the MAGA administration. I'm just saying this for a reason, because this is now is the time to speak.
Let me add something to it. So I'm going to agree with you deeply. I'm going to deeply agree with you, and then I'm going to show you where I disagree with you. But I agree with you way more than I disagree with you, because there is a thread in the Democratic Party that I think I identified last week that are more like the Woodrow Wilson Democrats, more like the Woodrow Wilson liberals. They like institution, you know, they like globalism, they like all those kind of things, but deep down in the core of them, they're racist. That streamer Destiny, he reminds me of a Woodrow Wilson type Democrat. And there are plenty of others who are actually in positions of power. I think, and this is where I deeply agree with you, whenever that thing happens, whatever happens, and I rebuke it in the name of Jesus, but let's say something did jump off, there's a faction of the Democratic Party who's going to co-sign with MAGA, who's going to co-sign with the vilification of Black people, is going to co-sign with whatever use of force that they want to use against Black people. It's not all Democrats, but unfortunately, there's going to be some. And I honestly feel like there's going to be some who are currently in power that we know by name and have media platforms who are going to undermine the best interests of Black people over the next 4 years. I see it 100% clearly. Only place I disagree with you is that when 4 years come up, that they could put up a reanimated corpse of Joe Biden. As much as I know he's going to hell because of what he did in Gaza, I'm still going to vote to get rid of the fascists out of power. That's just the ugly nature of American politics.
So here's what I'm saying to you. Hold on, just one last thing, because I want to clear my point out. We can't get mad at a community that is getting nothing at all right now as it speaks. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a certain segment of Black folks that we always typically try to complain about, right? We want to get mad at Black people for voting third party. We want to get, even though
can we just stop saying Black people and say Black men, because that's who they get mad at.
Well, I mean, there's some sisters that's involved too. But
no,
there are sisters. No, I mean, y'all are crazy as hell. Think that there's no.
But no, when they blame, but I want y'all when they name Black men.
Like narrative wise, yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, we can't sit up here like what I refuse to do is act like what's happening ain't happening,
right?
And then get blamed later on when there's a certain segment of Black folks, which, by the way, we like to pride ourselves of not being this binary people. We like to pride ourselves for all of us don't think alike, right? Well, right now is one way for some of these Democrats to actually say, to make us think a lot more alike and come together under that banner. If right now, if a Green Party or a person who's running third party starts saying things like, hey, you know what? I think fascism is negatively affecting Black people in America. And they're saying it right now, and they actually mean it. Then 3 years from now, when a primary comes on, and these Black people have been seeing a certain person say, hey, man, I like that. I like what that person's been saying for the last 4 years. We can't get mad at that person for not saying, oh, I'm going to go with the established motherfucker just because he got a chance. We can, but realistically, is that fair? No, and I mean, we're asked for a political amount of political nuance for folks to throw away their actual lived history and say, I saw this guy over here say something about it, but this guy right here has a better chance because he's a Democrat and he's never said anything about it. So we got to help him win, right? Well, right now is the time where you're supposed to be showing what you're supposed to show to actually be and earn the black vote. So these 15, 10, 5% of black men that are currently, I don't believe in nobody, or they vote for somebody else. Well, right now is the time to show it because everybody's suffering right now. If I'm wrong for what I'm saying, like then it's almost a gaslight where it's like, yeah, but this guy can beat Trump. And it's almost like, well, okay, so there are a certain amount of people whose lived experiences doesn't allow for them to want to do that. I'm not sitting up saying I will or I won't. What I am saying, though, is that there's a certain amount of responsibility that I cannot let go in moments like this right here. Accountability for people who ask for our vote right now is supposed to be doing something right now and expect us to turn a blind eye when you didn't do anything.
I think you're rightfully, I'll say this, you're rightfully cautious about Rahm Emanuel and Gavin Newsom. I also believe that those Bamas don't have a chance in southern states to get out of a primary. Neither of them. And I think, you know, when the world knows about Rahm in Chicago, and when the world, Gavin's too greasy for black people that vote in primaries to vote for him ever. And I think just understanding black voters, you understand that. And listen, I hear you with the claim of, you know, third party candidates saying the right thing. But you can't be the third party paid for by Republican dollars. Like, you can't have racist white people paying for your campaign. You can't be third party and also fourth party and also fifth party and also sixth party. What I mean by that, and this is full disclosure, I have a conversation in a couple of weeks with Cornel West that's going to be live, and I'm going to say it to him too. It's reckless to ask people, black people, not just Cornel West, anybody, to ask black people to vote for you, and you're on 6 different party tickets in one election cycle. I think that is a nuance that you're skipping as well. I think that nuance is more lollygaggy than is asking someone to say or telling someone the Democrat is a better choice, regardless who they are, than is Donald Trump. I think that I sound more true telling a black person to vote for a Democrat, regardless who they are, against Donald Trump, than I do telling you vote for a candidate who's Green Party this week, Freedom Party, Independent Party the next week. I think we got to be honest about that, because I think somebody said something to me the other day like, oh, you the type of person that would have been mad if Cornel West would have won. No, I'm not that type of person. I just need to see the infrastructure to say that it's possible. It was not possible for Cornel West to win. It was possible for Cornel West to be an upset vote like Ross Perot was for Republicans. And that role is a true thing, and it's a deadly thing. So I think if we're talking about politics, emotions aside, then we're obligated to think about one thing. Politics has a definition, and victory for politics has a definition. Victory is getting 50% plus 1 vote. The quickest way and the easiest way to do that is how you win elections, period. The second thing is politics itself, which means who's going to get what. We can't be talking about third-party candidates that aren't viable if we're worried about politics, because politics, by definition, is who's going to get what. You can't tell me black people should rest their vote with a party that is not grounded in reality, or victory is nowhere near possible. So here's what I would say to Democrats. If they know what's good for them, and it don't look like they do right now, because they're leaking stuff that sounds stupid, and also it sounds like they're doing the same. This idea that we're trying to, if you notice the language from this $20 million plan to win back young men, is absolutely disgusting language. And I don't want to talk too much because I'm trying to get this op-ed placed about this conversation. But I'll say this is language that is dangerous, because what it's saying is, one, You didn't pay attention to black men in 2024 and all of our rejection of what you did. And our rejection was not to go become more conservative. It was to sit out the election. So this idea that you need to win us back is saying that you're not including us. You're saying you're trying to win somebody back from the conservative side. Those are only white men. And if Democrats are trying to spend money on white men and use syntax, that's what they said, they're going to use syntax to try to understand black men better. First of all, $20 million is a joke. Second of all, you shouldn't be spending $20 million on white or any portion of it on white men. White men going to do what white men do. We see that. You see the young people at Alabama, University of Alabama. You see the young people in every graduation in Southern universities, for the most part, what PWIs clapping for Donald Trump, showing up in their golf shorts and their MAGA hats. This is not all we know is white men are doing what white men do. And Democrats spending money trying to win back that demographic is taken away from the efforts to reach black men. And that is dastardly. That is dastardly. Hold on a second, Marcus. So what I would say to the party is get it together, because it looks like we're going down that path where we're going to hand the Republicans, probably J.D. Vance or Rubio, the presidency after Trump.
Right,
or Rubio after if we don't get serious about this, because what I see is, first of all, these milquetoast candidates will be a massive turnoff for black men showing up in their stinky Barack Obama-esque suits and also oratory, and their syntax that they think they've mastered, and trying to learn how to say yo and when to say yo or what YN mean is going to be a catastrophe of stupidity. And I think they're going to see not an increase in black men participation in Republican politics, but more black men sit down elections if they try that. Can I say one more thing and I'll shut up? Because somebody said something is what pissed me off is they kicked Dave Hogg out. Let me say something. Dave Hogg is a trash ass individual. And let me say that.
We had that conversation. Let's go.
Let me say this clear. That was white privilege at its best. Let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic Party, any officer in the Democratic Party has to have to pledge that they will not get involved in any primaries. No one recruited David. He threw his hat in the ring to run for that office. You can't run for that office under these people's rules and then try to change them after you agree to them. Secondly, trying to act like you were attacked when you didn't even get more votes than Kenyatta, Malcolm Kenyatta, the brother who's a state senator from Philly, is absolutely disgusting. And then to run around the world knowing that you run the risk of taking the 12 or 13% of white men that are left in our party to feel like you, because y'all are already feel like y'all are ostracized. You're not famous, brother. I'm glad you survived that school shooting, but you're not an activist. I see you. As someone who truly organized, David, I see you. You are a trash white man individual. And the way you show up is white when your back is against the wall, because what you did was tacky. You cannot go into those people's house and and say you're good with their rules, win a position under those rules, and then say we need to challenge every incumbent. You can't do that. You can't be an officer in the Democratic Party and get involved in primaries. You will get kicked out every time for that. And that's what it is. People are saying that this guy's a victim. He ain't no victim. Also, he ain't no great organizer. Point blank, period.
Let me go through. Marcus, you were about to jump in there. Did you want to finish? Get thought in there?
Yeah, I got a couple of thoughts. I just want to point out to everybody watching in this panel that I never said anything about the Green Party, or I didn't say anything about Cornel West, or anything about.
I was using it as an example, though.
No, I'm just responding to what you said.
I was using it as an example, Marcus.
Whoa, no, I'm just responding. Just
okay.
It's fine. It's all good, my nigga. Relax.
Yeah, that's why I said Cornel West or anybody.
Relax.
I'm super relaxed, brother.
Okay, well, let me finish my statement. I'm just responding to you. It's all good, brother. Listen, so what I meant by that is whatever happened in 2024, whatever happens from 2024, I'm talking about the nowness, right? I'm talking about black voters, black men who are existing in this planet right now, like myself. I'm not going to talk about anybody else. I'm going to talk about Marcus Farrell, right? How I feel is like this right here. If you want to impress me in a primary, right? If you want to impress me in a general election, right? If you want to impress me and you want to motivate me to vote for you, knowing that my communities fundamentally have not changed economically in the past, I don't know, 40 years since my grandparents, if not worse, if not longer, right? So for somebody to, in general, for somebody to come in and say Trump is bad, it's an interesting take. Because if you talk to the average black farmer right now, you know that what they're not saying? Trump is bad. You know why they're not saying Trump is bad? The average black farmer right now is not saying Trump is horrible, because all of the subsidies that the white farmers are going through right now, that they are dealing with right now, all the subsidies, everything that the white folks have been getting, the whole time, black folks, they never got it. They understand that things are bad, but black folks never got all the same treatment as white farmers have gotten. That's why black folks across the border, like, we had to struggle the whole time. These black folks have been struggling the whole time. My people in Macon and my people outside of Macon who got the orange groves, have the peach groves, have been struggling the whole time. Never got one subsidy, not a real subsidy. What I'm saying is very simple. If you want to appreciate, if you want to get the black vote, right now is the time. And if you ask yourself the question, how come these brothers didn't show up? And then all of a sudden, which I expect, there's this big barbershop tour or this big whatever tour that they're going to do. And this the attempt to get black folks. And it's like, we are already living in a society where a lot of black people across the border like, man, I can't rock with this. I don't know this person from Adam. I talked to a couple of people who I know are thinking. I've talked to two people I know who are thinking about running for president as Democrats. And I ask them all the time, what's your plan? Like, I'm sure you want to think you're thinking about the South. Maybe you need to say a couple of things. I'm not really concerned with a third party, Green Party. I did say something about that, but I also want to add on the same thing that Mondale, you said. They're just not showing up at all. So when you have a community that doesn't fundamentally believe in politics, besides it's just more of the same. When you have a president right now who is literally creating an environment where Jason Whitlocks are saying the craziest thing, when FBA is using black vernacular, right? Where is the good, righteous Democrat that's going to speak out about black issues right now? That's the first thing I had to say. Second thing I had to say, because you mentioned David Hogg, and you said Dems don't interfere with primaries. These
you got to take my heat, man. You got to take my heat.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Because that's exactly what you said. I wrote
that's not exactly what I said. Don't lie on me.
You said if you're going to come into this organization knowing their rules, saying that these elected officials have signed a vow.
That's not what I said. You're lying.
That's what
you want to hear me say it again?
That's what I heard, though. Say it again, though, Mondale.
Right?
I said you cannot be an officer in the DNC and get involved in primary.
Let that be the case, right? You're ready to argue, man. Chill out.
Yeah, because don't misquote me, brother.
No.
I'm trying to be peaceful.
Right. I just
don't tell me what I said.
I love you.
It's depending on what week it is.
I love you. All right. What I was going to say is very simple. He might have signed whatever pledge. If we talk about the ethos of the officers within the Democratic Party and how they operate, don't nobody give a flying about them saying that they don't interfere with primaries when we know damn well that they interfere with primaries all the time. That is what they do. They don't say they do. And the first time that somebody actually said, I'm going to interview with him, he got more nuts than half of them. Because they interfere with the primaries all the time without even saying they're going to do it. And if you tell me I'm lying, you're fine. They already tried here in Georgia recently. They already tried definitely in 3 or 4 congressional races in the state of Florida and in Georgia. They like to get their person in. They literally like to get their person in. That's why they will show up to a primary event. The DNC will show up with a certain person. That's why what happened to Bernie happened to Bernie.
What happened?
We gotta get out of here.
When?
2016.
Hold on. Let's be clear.
No, that's all right. No,
Nice.
you asked me when. I'll answer the question. When?
Hold on, Marcus. You're not even answering.
2016,
Stop.
2011,
I'm not talking about Bernie.
2013, 2014.
Marcus.
I can give you an example for every single year.
Marcus.
So it's kind of like real cap to me for you to
Marcus, you can
this is
keep
fair
screaming.
and balanced.
Marcus,
the
you can keep
Democratic Party is
screaming,
not fair
or you can
and
listen,
balanced.
you're talking
You asked me
wrong.
a question, I'm answering it.
You didn't let me
So
answer my question. You asking about Bernie.
You said no.
That's not my question. You didn't let me
need to
finish.
relax, Mondale.
Marcus, you didn't let me finish the
It's all
win.
right, man.
I am
okay
relaxed.
Somebody has a different viewpoint.
Man, don't gaslight me, dog. Don't gaslight me.
You do it to me all the time, my brother. It's fine.
I don't.
Yes, you do. Listen, man.
But you acting trashy now. Hold on.
Cut me
You
off
ask
in
my
the middle of
question.
response.
Marcus,
you cut me off in the middle of my
your
response
has been the entire show. Go ahead.
It's kind of ironic when we
You
have these
spoke the whole show. You spent 30 minutes on Jason Whitlock. The dude's a goof
and you spoke about it. Okay, so how about this? You got it.
Thank you. What I was going to say was, you can't tell me anytime an officer of the DNC showed up to a primary event. That is cap. That is cap. And I was there in 2016. And I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people say. I was there. I know why Bernie lost. Absolutely, Democrats stacked the decks against him. But it wasn't party. It wasn't the officers. It was the Barack Obamas, the Clyburns, and those people. Stop playing games with people, dog.
I'm not playing games. You're a democratically elected official. I understand where you're coming from.
Nigga, don't play with me like that, dog. That ain't even cool.
Hey man, listen. If
that ain't even cool, dog.
Playing games,
bro,
I same thing.
We can end the show right now, dog, if you want to do that, because what you ain't gonna never do.
Don't come at me like that.
Don't.
It is what it is,
bro.
We don't have to name call.
You just implied. You just implied I was
about things.
Nigga, then we disagree.
I'm playing games with people.
You playing games with my name. You just said I'm a Democrat implant.
And you said I'm playing games with people.
He said I'm a Democrat elected official. That's why I gotta say that. I don't gotta say shit. Ben, you know me.
Okay, so you said I'm playing games with people, right?
That is not a cool statement.
No. You can't throw one and then not take one. Just remember that.
I didn't throw anything. I'm just telling you the rules.
You got it, man. This ain't going nowhere.
All right, then stop talking. Then let me finish my point. Thank you. What I'm saying, Ben, you was gonna say something. Then I'm gonna finish my point because you let Marcus speak. Go ahead.
Let's start with I'm gonna go all the way back to the core point that you were making about Democrats. So let's reset. I'm gonna reset with this. For the Democratic Party, and again, I'm going all the way back. I'm not even gonna pick up where y'all left off. With the Democratic Party, for the Democratic Party to be pouring money into reaching white men in the year of our Lord 2025, considering everything that we know about what's happening with white men and white supremacy right now. To me, I think this is a perfect opportunity for a third party to be currently actively challenging them on that. My problem with third parties is that they don't ever show up until the election year, though. You know what I mean? Like, we need somebody with structured power who can say, Democrats, y'all effing up, and y'all deserve to lose black men because you're going to talk to us about syntax while putting money in reaching white dudes. The other thing I was going to say about that whole conversation is that I honestly think I defer from both of you all in the 2028 election, because my thought is that MAGA is going for the kill. Like, I think it's a little premature to even be talking about elections in 2028 when they've made it clear they have no intention of having elections. They made it clear they want to anoint Donald Trump as king, or whoever is going to be his heir apparent. And so I feel like one of the biggest balls that's being dropped by Democrats is the fact that they're not organized fighting it in a way that really deserves it. If their answer to this moment is to go after white men with money, and not the fact that we're dealing with structured destruction of our election processes, and they're not coming after black men, which is a core demographic that they need, then not only are they not competent and able to win in 2028, it's to the point of complicity. Again, I think that there's a strand in the Democratic Party that is equally complicit with fascism as MAGA. They're just two different ways of expressing it, because you can't tell me that they got that many incompetent people in the DNC that they cannot see that this is the exactly wrong move at the exact wrong time. And then you got those other well-meaning liberals who might, I don't want to call any of them by name, but let's just call them the NPR style liberals that, and actually I can't even call them NPR style liberals, because NPR got they got their own awakening happening right now because Donald Trump's coming after them. So that's not even fair. But you got some of these milquetoast liberals who are not clear about the fact that we're facing a threat that is rooted in white supremacy. The threat is rooted in white supremacy. And so if they're not going to address the threat from the lens of going after white supremacy, then they are literally setting themselves up. I think they believe because they're white that they're going to be okay at the end of the day. But no, MAGA is using immigration to bring in white supremacy attacks against black people. As soon as they're done with that, they're making it clear they're going after Democrats just for being Democrats. It don't matter if you're white. And so we're dealing with not only white supremacy, but we're dealing with fascism. They are going to come after these people. And so when I see these milquetoast liberals who are like still trying to play ball as usual, I'm like, y'all like the Weimar Republic. Y'all are perfectly set up to all of y'all to end up getting got on the wall with everybody else. So I think that this is a wonderful opportunity right now in time right now for a third party to be in here and making this case. But again, we don't see them but for every 4 years. Here's my thought on David Hogg. If we have to parse the specific details, I say that we all get our facts and let's get them clear and come back, because I do remember the DNC as an institution. Now, if we're parsing the difference between officers and something else, then okay, I might have to cede that territory to you. But I remember the DNC as an institution actively getting involved, sabotaging Bernie Sanders in 2016. And it's not just Bernie Sanders, right? We saw them again in 2010, in 2020, right? So the DNC always has their ways of doing this. I personally think even if David Hogg signed something saying that he was going to honor and not get involved, I don't know. I might have done the same thing and say, I will pretend like I'm going to play by your rules. But the real solution to the problem is that we have entrenched power in the Democratic Party that needs to be broken up. And a lot of it is in the geriatric class. Like, we're dealing with people in their 80s who die. We just had over the last 3 months, how many Democrats die in office? Die in the, not just general office, but in the Congress. You know what I mean? So I feel like the attitude of I'm going in and we're going to bust up these folks, then that's the right spirit. Now, I get where he was wrong, and Malcolm Kenyatta made that clear. We covered it on the show a couple of weeks ago, where the actual reason they're coming after him wasn't just because of wasn't even rooted. They weren't even really coming after him. At the end of the day, they were making it clear that there was rules in the organization that they have a certain amount of gender representation, and that's the crux of why they are challenging he and Malcolm Kenyatta's their vice chairmanship. I get that. But I also think that the right attitude to go with the Democrats right now is to break up their entire power structure. Now, to my brothers, let me say this to my brothers, 1, 2, and I'm just going to keep it 100 with y'all. Listen, fellas, I love y'all. I love y'all like sliced bread. Last week, Mondale, Marcus, you were on yours. You know what I mean? This week, Mondale, I don't know the situation. I don't know what's going on, but the energy is like, it kind of mirrors to me. I'm like, it just feels, it's like, fellas, like, you know, let's just operate on some basic rules. Let's just not interrupt each other by any means necessary. I think the number one thing that we could do right here is make sure that by any means necessary, let's just hold our peace until the other person has exhausted and they're not saying anything else. I think that'll help us go a lot further.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I literally did that. And then as soon as I started talking, I was interrupted. So my energy is a little off because, one, someone is implying something. I absolutely said Cornel West or anybody else. So this need to focus on that. First of all, let me just get back to y'all. See, when I say I'm a political animal and I mean it, it's not just me like being braggadocious. These are just facts. Like, I'm a nerd about what I'm a nerd about, and politics just happened to be it. I was there in 2016. Let me tell you the height of white privilege, and y'all are missing that. Both of you guys. Bernie is a registered independent, and the Democrats let him play in the primary. That is, if it was, why was Cornel West not allowed to be in the Democratic primary like Bernie? So people acting like Bernie should have got some kind of favor. He already did when they allowed him to play in Elizabeth Warren's role, in Elizabeth Warren's lane. And furthermore, y'all act like the chair of the DNC was not forced to resign after she was found out to be biased toward Hillary Clinton. Did you forget that in 2016, Debbie Wasserman Schultz got fired, and we got Tom Perez because she was being biased? This is what I'm talking about. The officers can't participate in primaries, and there are repercussions for it. I'm not talking about elected officials. They have the right to be able, whatever they are. But when you are a party officer, you can't get involved. You get fired for that. Yeah, you get fired for that. So, and that's what I'm saying. That was my point. We have to say things that are absolutely accurate, unless we're just out here speaking shit that don't matter on TV. And if that's what we're doing, that's cool. But I'm gonna be bothered every time something is said that's not accurate. It is not accurate that officers get involved in primaries, and when they do, they get fired. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was a Jewish white woman that got involved in the 26 primaries to benefit Hillary Clinton and got kicked out of her role. That is the height of privilege in the Democratic Party. And it shows you what they're willing to do. And I'm not saying that the party is perfect. What I am saying, Donald Brazile got kicked out of the party for the same candidate, for Hillary Clinton. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I absolutely know that Bernie didn't have an easy role in the primary. I was there. Again, I was a part of the team that raised $2 million for Bernie. I was there. After Elizabeth Warren dropped out, I was there for Bernie. But I also know the rules. So we gotta be honest about that. I also think when we are in our feelings, and we have the right to be in our feelings because we're human creatures. When we're in our feelings, we don't need the name call, because implying that because I'm an elected Democrat, then I gotta take or say something because that's expected of me, is to say that you don't know me, and everybody on this panel knows me, and they know that I don't say things just to say things. So if I do want to continue, but I will not continue in a space where we're playing Twitter with my name. And what I mean by that is we're just saying things to say things. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I just want to respond with one thing. Hey, I apologize for saying that if you feel like your integrity was messed with. Also, when I say something and you say, stop playing games with people, my brother, ain't nothing about me a game. Zero. And I have a political opinion about something. And guess what? Doesn't necessarily mean just because you say everything that you're educated on, you're very well spoken and know a lot of knowledge, doesn't necessarily mean you're always right about things. People have different opinions. That's why we have a show, right? There's no political dictionary on here, and there's no political God on this show whatsoever. I will be wrong, right? I can do that. I can take an L. Take L's all the time on the show. Love it, right? But we can't accuse anybody else's viewpoint for like, oh, you playing games with people, or you selling people a dream. We gonna end that right now too then, in general, because we have opinions on this show that should be fairly moderated and talked about without being name called for your opinion. If you do that, you're gonna get that smoke back from me. That's just, it's just the way it is. And that's where we started at. But I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. And I apologize if I feel like your independent integrity as a Democrat was questioned by what I said. I probably should have said that. But we got to do a little bit better a job of, if somebody disagrees with what you're saying, you actually calling that person or that idea stupid. Because no ideas are stupid until they get flushed out. Point blank, period.
I hear you on that. I do think there are stupid ideas, though, and I also, for instance, the Democratic Party spending $20 million to try to recruit white men is a stupid idea. I absolutely think there are stupid ideas. I think there are plenty of stupid ideas, and we shouldn't go there. I hear what you're saying. I hear you saying about our opinions, and we absolutely all have the right to our opinions. We cannot get to the point where we allow our opinions to be arguments against facts, though. That's all I'm saying. I hear you.
Okay. This is the last thing that I'm going to say. So let me straighten this out to appeal to the ethos and the people who heard you make the statements you made about the DNC officers. You know what? You're absolutely right. DNC officers have been in and out. But when it comes down to the ethos of leadership, money, if we talk about Cori Bush and who did APEC talk to to make sure that somebody actually had some money against Cory Bush. It was a Democrat in leadership. Why? They do act. Oh, that. Talk to Cory. Talk to Cory. I don't have to say it. You want to go by facts? Talk to Cory. Talk to people who are in power who have pull within the Democratic Party. So I guess you know what? Factually, Democratic Dictionary, you're absolutely right. The officers can't do it. But when it comes down to leadership and the Democrats, when it comes down to certain people that they want, it will be malpractice. It will be malpractice. There you go. Ask her. It would be
Here's my question.
It would be malpractice to act as if Democratic leadership does not do anything within primaries across the nation. And for anybody to insinuate it is almost like, okay, who's really playing games? That is almost gaslighting at a high level. So maybe there are two separations. Maybe the structure of the Democratic Party doesn't do a thing, but maybe the thought process and the ethos of the Democratic Party, when it comes down to primaries, when it comes down to power, when it comes down to making sure that certain donors go to certain people, which I've seen before. And also I was right there in 2016 also. I was on the campaign. My lived experience. The true hero.
The true hero. You don't get to tell me.
Lived experience.
The true hero. You don't get to tell me I'm out of line for calling Marcus a nigga. That's how we talk. And if this is your first time here, go play in traffic, homeboy. We talk like that to each other. So don't tell me I'm out of line for calling Marcus nigga. We talk like that. So go play.
We do. I ain't mad at that. Anybody mad at that hasn't watched our show. Whatever. I don't care about that. Like, and me and Mondale gonna fight, right? But on the same token, like, I do have a lived experience on that campaign myself. I saw what I saw. I have facts that, like, no matter what dictionary you have, who wrote that dictionary? Because I was there in person and I have facts about things that happened that I saw with my own eyes and happened to me from Democrats in power, right? Like, I could call out names right now and y'all feelings would be hurt, right? So what I'm saying is, like, yes, Mondale, officers can't. And you know what? David Hogg has done those things before. And guess what? That's already been explained. But when it comes down to Democrats not interfering with primaries, are you serious? No, there is absolutely no way that I'm gonna let that one ride. And anyway,
I didn't say Democrats don't interfere
about that.
He said officers.
I didn't say Democrat. I said Barack Obama and those in power.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah, I didn't say Democrats interfere. I think that's important to note. I literally said Barack Obama's, the Clyburns, all those people show up to rallies. I saw them show up with Hillary Clinton. They did it against Barack Obama when he was running against Hillary Clinton. Clyburn was at every event she did with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, all of them were there. I know that, but none of them were officers, dog. And I think we should say that, because what if we don't, we sow misinformation, or we should say, excuse me, maybe it's disinformation, because misinformation has a different role. Misinformation has the malicious intent to it. Disinformation is saying something that's not true without is it flipped around?
Flip it, yeah. Flip.
Okay, so there we go. So yeah. So and I think for me, it's just important to note that. And I listen, I have no remorse for David Hogg, who came up too quick without any like cutting his teeth on anything progressive. And I don't like that. I don't like that idea that, people can just do that. You have to be white to do that. Also, you guys still didn't address what I said. How is an independent candidate, Bernie Sanders, allowed to run in a Democratic primary, but not Cornel West?
I'll respond real easy. Because he votes with Democrats at a 98% rating when it comes down to Democratic issues. He literally is a part of that caucus, and in action, not in party, not in name, in action, he votes more Democratic than some Democrats that we have right now. In action. That's why.
Here's my problem.
Cornel West is not an elected official. Check this out.
Yep.
Cornel West is not an elected official, right? So I can, and Cornel West is a friend, right? But I understand why he's not allowed. There's a very big difference. Bernie's actions show that he votes Democratic. Outside of basically guns and anything black, he pretty much votes Democratic. Versus,
so let me ask you a question.
And I'm not sitting there saying it's fair or not.
Okay. Because my next question was, if voting with Democrats gets you to participate in a closed primary, then that's interesting to me. Why do we have closed primaries? So if independents can run in the primary, why are we having closed primaries?
I don't think we should have closed primaries.
Because when they list party structure, they have this many Democrats, this many independents, and this many Republicans. And Bernie Sanders is never listed as a Democrat. So if we have closed primaries, and we do, how is an independent allowed to participate? They would never allow a black.
Yes, can you clarify this for me though? Because Bernie ran as a Democrat. Cornell wasn't running as a Democrat, and help me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember him ever really positioning himself to run as a Democrat. He chose the outside course. He chose different parties from the beginning.
He had to, because the Democrat Party didn't have no primary. That was my point. We had no.
He was running before they made that decision, though.
But we had no primary, is what I'm saying. So here's
he was running against the sitting president. Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Okay.
So let's also, I'm not being complete.
The whole conversation by itself while we have it, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my thing. To ignore the white privilege associated with Bernie and his campaign, it's crazy to me. And act. I'm not. I wouldn't say act. To not have that as part of this conversation, to me, feels a little cheap. Especially when we watch what happened with Bernie campaign. So this idea that we die on this hill called Bernie Sanders, when we watched after that campaign, white people do what racist white people do, meaning they started 3 $20 million organizations and did not have a single black staff. I called them out on this, and his wife, Bernie Sanders' wife's response to me, calling her out on how y'all start 3 $20 million new organizations and not a single black staff, was, oh, we got black people. And then I show her the website with all the staff members, and none of them were black. For her to walk away with her security guard and go try and get security to have me removed, call the police on me to have me removed. And when security walked over there, they were like, oh no, we can't remove him. This their event. They're one of the sponsors. So we watched them behave as white people during the campaign. When they were asked to talk about reparations, that's not my story, so I won't tell that story. They act as white people with the white woman, racist white woman wife that he had, and how she was allowed to carry on. They act as white people after the campaign. So I'm saying we are doing all this talking about Bernie Sanders' campaign and not talking about all the whiteness in that campaign. And I'll land my plane with this. AIPAC does not need and do not ask or give a damn how Democrats feel about them, because Democrats don't push back on AIPAC. So they don't ask the leadership. They decide who they're going to support. They are a dusty organization who is as powerful as the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party allowed it. If the Democratic Party blackballed AIPAC like they did any consultants working against incumbents in 2012, then we would be better off. And we would never have a Bale running against a Cori Bush with a chance to win. We would never have a Torres winning. We would never have a Jamal Bowman losing. But we know AIPAC and all of their resources continue to show up the way they show up.
Let me jump in here real quick on the white privilege of Bernie. We were discussing that though in context of white on white violence. Like we really didn't get around to Cornel West until later on. We were talking about David Hogg's white privilege as he was using it inside of the white Democratic Party, and then we brought up Bernie Sanders as an example of more white on white violence, the Hillary Clinton campaign, what they had and what Debbie Wasserman Schultz did, and then what Dawn Brazil reported on in her book about Bernie Sanders, about how they internally didn't like or hostile was her word towards Bernie Sanders. But nah, I mean, I can't speak for Marcus, but I know Marcus well enough to know that we all done called out. That's one of the biggest things we don't like about Bernie. You know what I mean? Like right now, I mean, the fact that Bernie Sanders went on that show with Andrew Schulz after knowing who he is, like, to me, like, and I called him out and called him out again. Like there is a deep rooted problem of whiteness still in the mindset of Bernie Sanders, which is why one of the first videos I ever did back in 2015, I was like, this is why Bernie Sanders is going to lose, right? Because he always had a propensity to lean towards the white bros. despite all the black people who dug his politics. But I don't think we left out, at least me. I know I don't leave that out of the context of the conversation. I just think at the time we were talking about the white on white violence in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, man. Nobody knows Bernie Sanders' world better than me.
And the racism you experienced.
Yeah, nobody knows it. Like I haven't even told 50% of the stories that I have. And the reason why is because I'll be making myself go crazy, right?
Why you think? Can I just confirm that? Can I confirm what you just said? I'll never forget being at that arcade in Atlanta and you telling me, I don't even know if you told me 30%, but man, that had my pressure up so high I had to go get a drink. I don't even drink. But when you were sharing just what you experienced in that in his campaign, like that me. Excuse me, that's the wrong phrase, but y'all know what I mean.
Yeah, listen, man. Like, I don't want to like beat a dead horse. And that conversation happened plenty of times, right? I use it as an example because there was some racism that was on Bernie's campaign, but also there was some racism because I was black working for Bernie in the Democratic world. I don't ever want anybody to forget that shit. Like, we got to keep it real. There's been rooms that I walked in where because I wasn't a black Democrat working for Hillary Clinton, I wasn't accepted by those Democrats. I want that to be clear, right? What the hell is your black ass doing here? By a very, very famous, very famous reverend that we all know, right? That said all types of stuff until Bernie started getting closer in the polls, and then all of a sudden I get a call. Is what it is, right? At the end of the day, man, how we get free? Is it establishment politics? Is it going to be another repeat? Because I read the comment section, man. I see how people think certain folks are right, wrong, all that crap here. But here's the funny part about it. I remember saying some of the same stuff I'm saying right now in 2019, 2020. I remember seeing some of the same tangible actions happen. And then all of a sudden we end up getting the same results, right? There is a proper way to go about politics in America, right? But if we all had the answer, then all of it will be done. If we all had the answer, everybody. So if I get passionate about something, and I'm just going to say this, if I get passionate about something, that's because I want to see something different. I don't want to see the same thing again. I don't want to see the same moderates use black talking points. I don't want to see the same progressive white man go in and not have anything black to say. I don't want to see the same black girl magic that hits on nothing about the black community. I don't want to see none of it. And to be honest with you, at the end of the day, like we can re-go through the racism of Bernie. We can suddenly skip over the Democratic establishment thought process that does exist no matter how we term it or who's in office or not in office. Democrats typically like to take care of their own. We also are missing a point about how some of these Democrats who are dying in office need to get challenged. They do. These motherfuckers need to get primaried. I don't care what nobody says. You know why? Because a good primary brings out the best policies. It does. It does. You got to fight that battle. The only thing that I'm going to say in general is like this right here, man. I went through a lot on that Bernie campaign. Afterwards, and Mondale was absolutely right and correct in this right here. He didn't start anything, right? But I don't want to get this false premise that policy-wise, he was going to be worse for black people than Hillary Clinton was. Because that is, if we're going to litigate that case, we can't forget that Hillary said she was going to walk across the street and clutch a purse. She saw a brother in a hoodie. We can't forget that some of our favorites have had problematic things like, a crime bill that we just elected a president that literally helped author a crime bill. All these motherfuckers are problematic to me. All of them, right? But at the end of the day, black people are going to be asked to support whoever they put in front of our face. And that's my problem. Because whoever they put in front of our face is not in front of our face right now when we need them. And I have a fundamental problem with that. So therefore, our issues don't ever get brought to the table when they put that person in front of our face. So when I ask for specific policies for the Black community, so we won't be thinking that our economic detriment has happened the same way for the past 40 years, and they actually have a plan for change, it actually changes and people actually show up and believe in it. I don't give a damn what party you in. You could be a Republican and running against whoever the hell. And as long as you're talking the right way about the Black community, I'm cool with that. The Democrats are a big tent party. A very huge, large, big tent. And I'll say this now, land my plane. They're a huge, large, big tent. But it seems like in that back office of the tent is where the Black folks' issues are. But out in the circus area, everybody else is getting talked about. And that's where I land my plane on that.
All right. Well, this has been, we're an hour and a half.
One point before we go. Bernie voted for that crime bill too. Go ahead.
I don't care. That was like literally like you hit me like you're not hitting me with shit, nigga.
I'm not trying to hit you. I wanted to make sure.
Like check this
Marcus,
out. He wasn't the president.
Marcus, you just told me to calm down.
The nigga who wrote this shit was the president.
Marcus,
You still voted him in.
Jesus
I don't care about that. What the
fuck? Why, if you don't care about it, why you in your feelings, right? Why you closing your chest like that, dog?
That's cute, man.
I just wanted to make sure that people knew that crime bill was signed by everybody because of the climate, except for one person that was bold enough, and that's progressive to me. When everybody's doing something and you speak out against everybody.
Yeah, Barbara Lee is the only righteous one out of all of them.
Barbara Lee didn't bend.
Barbara Lee run for president. So we have a lot less to talk about.
That level of realness is rare. And it don't come in, like, you can't be progressive being Bernie. To me, Bernie ain't progressive. Bernie was a mayor in 1984 when Jesse Jackson ran. He endorsed Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson's platform was way more progressive than his. So if you run for president and you are less progressive than a platform that you endorsed 30 years ago, that's not progressive. That's to me, that ain't even par for the course. You just establishment at that point.
I agree. You know what? I mean, you know what, Mondale? There's a lot of selling. Like if you ever play 2K or you play basketball out in the street, and you see somebody intentionally messing up, they sell it. They're like, there's a lot of selling going on in Democratic politics right now. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of unrighteous people who are trying to run as righteous people. There are a lot of people who are hyper righteous, but are confined in this, damn, I want to do more, but if I do this, I won't be able to win this election, or I won't be able to do this, that, and the other. I've yet to see the Trump of the left. And what I mean by that is I'm unabashedly just going to do everything and say whatever the hell I want to. We have not seen that yet. Bernie wouldn't talk about reparations. Biden won't talk about a lot. Hillary didn't talk about a lot. Kamala couldn't, the vice president couldn't talk about a lot of things either, right? They are all afraid of saying reparations while running for office.
Kamala did it
in a general election. Nobody, I ain't say the primary, in a general election, people don't touch the word reparations. In a general election, nobody even said poverty. Like literally, nobody said poverty. What I'm waiting for is somebody who has the morals, the gumption, because believe it or not, there is good politics. I want to explain, because maybe we need, just for a second, Ben, what's good politics? I think good politics is having an anti-colonization thought process when it comes down to Palestine. I think that's good politics. I think ending poverty is good politics. I think free healthcare is good politics. I think reparations is good politics. I think taking care of our babies is good politics. I think reforming the criminal justice system is good politics. I think being able to tax the wealthy so they pay their fair share is good politics. There are good politics. The problem is nobody wants to put it together in one package and run on it. There's always a block. There's always this one thing that keeps some of the best people from doing the right things. Oh yeah, I love Medicare for all, but also bomb Palestine. Oh yeah, I love reparations, but man, Bernie crazy with all that healthcare stuff. Like there's never like one package that gets it all together. And I like to ask you two gentlemen, what's good politics to you? What is good politics to you? What's good policy to you?
Standing with the oppressed, no matter where we find them.
Okay.
That's the only politics. I mean, like that's my politics. I also want to say that I don't need something to say this is reparations for it to be reparations, right?
You said that before. I understand that. I want to tell you something.
So let me.
The policy behind it, like what I'm saying is, just the pop. Like
well, I think that's what he's saying.
Where you can call it green and yellow, but the policy behind it is important. Like, what's good politics?
Yeah, so good politics is being the president that put the most amount of money in HBCUs because HBCUs produce, majority of the Black professionals, even though we are only 107 schools in a country that has 5,900 colleges and universities. Good policy is Justice 40, where you decide that 40% of all of the funds will go to rural spaces where or oppressed people have been left out. All of the grant funding from the federal government will go to these locations. People who have been suffering through census, at least three tracks of Census Bureau reporting of 30% or more poverty. That's good policy. Good policy is programs to make sure that poor parents can have what they need to feed their kids. Good. To me, that's good policy. Like I think an easier way, a cleaner way to say it is standing with the oppressed, no matter where they are.
Yeah.
And I think for me, and the reason I said that is because I see so much of our fight. Like for instance, in 2020, in the general election, it was the stated goal of Kamala and also Biden's campaign, 2020 Biden-Harris campaign, to support HR 40. But they stopped short of reparations. But then they turned around and they spent so much money. Trying to get so much of Black rural spaces online. All those hundreds of billions of dollars that was dedicated to rural spaces in the South. That is an alley-oop to Black people, because we know Black people, if you look at who are in internet deserts, it's mostly Black people. So we talked about all the stuff that Donald Trump interrupted when he came in. Nobody was talking about the policies that they shut down immediately, like Justice 40. Nobody was talking about how he cut back all these funds, the Pell Grant, and also how he eliminated this access to this easier way to get rid of your student loan debt. All of that stuff has a profound effect on people who are descendants of American slavery, because we know we are more likely to have student loans, and when we do have them, they're way larger than our white cohorts and counterparts. So I think knowing there are several Bidens in his political career, right? He has to be known as the guy who was praising busing. He has to be known to that because he said it in a time where it takes courage not to be for busing. He didn't have that courage. He also has to be known for the only white politician to charge up Republicans about apartheid and say that we don't support our legacy and our honor in America. And our relationship is not with white South Afrikaners, it's with the Black people who are suffering because of the white Afrikaners. So that is Joe Biden too. Another Joe Biden, the same Joe Biden and another Joe Biden, is the one who was for the crime bill out there pushing that narrative, along with so many other Black electeds and everybody in the Black community saying that they were afraid of Black people, not thinking critical about what crime is related to. And then there's also the Joe Biden that spent more money and had the blackest administration in the history of this country and appointed so many Black judges. Like that, Joe Biden also has a role. So I think for me, we when we look at the scope of a person's career, let's look at it. And I know that he went out. To me, the last thing that it's unfortunate that his people around him, the people that he trusted, didn't have enough courage to tell him,
"Sit your ass down."
No, not sit your ass down. Just well done.
Just joking, man.
No. Listen to me. Just well done. And that well done should have came after the first election. and you put your hand on the Bible, get sworn in. Oh, before you go to the ball, you should know, and this should be the conversation you should be having. I am not running for re-election. Because at that moment, you already set your vice president up to look like leadership. And every time she speak, everybody is talking about the mantle being passed. And he didn't do that. The people around him didn't do that. And they didn't coach him. Instead, they tried to play shadow president when they knew he was fragile. And that is disgusting to something that could have been an amazing legacy when it comes to appointing black judges, when it comes to the amount of money given to HBCUs, when it comes to all the stuff he did around poor neighborhoods in rural spaces. Y'all ruined that over ego. But the y'all I'm talking about is him and his people. And that's the disgusting part of the Joe Biden and the way it ends.
Hey, Ben, Mondale, before we go, I think first off, thank you for watching Clickbaity Political Thirsttrap, folks. Hey, we get into it on this show. And it's probably gonna keep going. It is what it is. We're human beings. All of us are human beings. And trust and believe when you're around family, you're gonna get into some heated arguments. It is what it is. The first thing I want to, before we go, Ben, Mondale, I asked y'all a question. I'm gonna ask y'all another question. Right now, hot seat. You got 3 people that could run for president next go around. Who are they? Mondale.
3 people.
3 people right now.
I'm so glad he said right first. No.
Right now.
It's hard to see it, ain't it?
I mean, for on the Republican side.
I mean, listen. You first off, no judge, right? So because
listen. On the Republican side or the Democratic side.
It's so easy for us to name somebody and then get blasted later on. Like, that's what you said. We're not going to do that. What I'm saying is, like, 3 people, like, just.
No, he's serious. He's serious. You talking about Democrats or Republicans? We can name Republicans.
It don't matter.
I can name the 3 Republican candidates that's going to run. Rubio's going to run.
No. I'm talking about people. All right, 3 people who could deliver us some version of freedom from the Trump administration. Let's do that.
On the Democratic side,
or the independent side.
I think Pritzker is a good choice. Staying in Illinois, I like Mayor Brandon. He's not afraid to talk. He's smart. Brother,
he's gonna have a tough time with Chicago.
Nah, he ain't gonna have a tough time in Chicago. Chicago, know that.
See his numbers?
Yeah,
I have to. Go ahead, though.
I mean, Chicago's crime ain't been this low since the 80s almost.
Go ahead, man. 3.
And I think the last one. I mean, I know who's gonna run. I don't think. I think I got 4 people that probably should run.
Go ahead, name them then.
I listen. I think Crockett's gonna run. I think it's gonna be a rude awakening for it, and I think Kamala's gonna run again.
Jasmine, Brandon.
Kamala's
Harris
gonna run
and Pritzker.
Pritzker.
Okay, Ben.
Who? Also, who I think is going to run, Kamala. I kind of hope Jasmine doesn't run, not just yet. Not because I don't think she ain't quality, but I think just. I mean, maybe she runs to get her feet wet.
Yeah. I want her in the Senate. I want to see her in the Senate.
Yeah, like I can see her really snagging a Senate seat and then running for president for sure. I kind of still like, and I want to see what Tim Walz can do unconstrained. But if you ask me, just generally speaking, I'm praying, Lord, from the ashes of America, send up a new voice. That's all I got. That's my real hope, because I honestly don't see it though.
Yeah. You, Marcus?
I didn't want to answer the question.
That's why I was going to say you should start.
Like, look at these dummies.
Send us up.
All right, no, check this out, man. Ruben Gallego, my number 1 person, my number 1 stunner, my number 1 gunner. If he run, I'm all in, and I'm acting like a black gatekeeper, and I'm acting like every everybody, whoever gatekeeps on the planet, I'm throwing the fish fries. Y'all might as well call me Marcus Clyburn. I'm throwing the fish fries. I'm gatekeeping. If Ruben run, I'm gatekeeping.
All right.
Go ahead and call it out right now.
Who's number two? Who's number two?
Bow tie. I'm gonna be on Fox News. I'm gonna be y'all. If you ain't voting for Ruben, you ain't black.
Who's number two?
AOC. I'm not. Just pause. I'm not sitting up saying she can win or she can lose. I think Jasmine. I think when you mentioned Jasmine, I think this about that. She's not my person, but I think that Jasmine has the potential of having the highest black turnout in the history of politics. I think if
I missed that. Say it again.
I think Jasmine has the potential to have the highest black turnout in the history of black politics, even more than Obama. I think that the white folks are just gonna have a problem with her. But I think when it comes down to the hood and black neighborhoods, as soon as that lady starts doing her lawyer thing, she's gonna be unstoppable, and she'll have like a campaign behind her. But I don't think it's her time yet. I think Warnock. I don't want him to. I didn't say he would win. I'm just saying I think Warnock would because I mean, Warnock has his issues also. Jon Stewart, on the other hand, I don't care what nobody says. If Donald Trump can be a faucet, first off, I want y'all to understand something about Jon Stewart. Y'all can get mad all you want to. Jon Stewart has a legacy history of speaking correct politics for America for a very long time.
I think he's smart as hell.
Yeah. Now, will he do it, or does he have the capacity to do it? But we're watching the clown show right now. Maybe we can get a good show in reverse. And the last person that I think this is going to be very interesting if she decides to do it, is Katie Hobbs.
Oh God, no.
Arizona. I'm not sitting there saying I like her. I do like her as a person. I don't like her politics because she's very moderate. I like her as a person. I know her, right? But I think Katie, that Arizona purple state thing is a real thing, man.
It ain't. It ain't.
It is.
I'm saying the population is changing, bro. Like so many people leaving the West Coast, moving down south.
I'm talking about the whole Midwest like appeal, moderate Democrat. But on the same token, here's the last thing. By the time the next presidential race comes along, everybody's gonna be so poor in America that everybody's gonna be progressive. I promise you.
Well, I mean, I can see that. I can see that happening. Listen, I can definitely see that happen. I think if the party wants to show the world that they're tone deaf, they can appoint. And I see people putting Westmore. The reason I didn't say Westmore is because his team, the people around him, are not smart enough to put him in position to be president. And what I mean by that is they allowed for this monkey trap to be set for him to fall in the year he's running for re-election for governor. This idea that this brother would be forced to veto a studies bill when he said that he wanted reparations is a trick from his own party within. So they've already started the attacks on him to prevent him from being a serious candidate. And what's going to happen is they did exactly what they needed to do with the people they need to do with, because the FBA ADOS crowd will torture him an entire election cycle, and he will not be black enough for them, even though So yeah, they already started that process of ruining his name. And that's what I think. That's what I try to tell people. We don't play politics properly. They're all like Republicans they're using Democrats to do that dirty work. Somebody black, somebody Democratic, somebody in Maryland took money, probably somebody close to West, took money to get these foreign people to put this bill on in the House this cycle. Immigrants put that bill on that, and I think we're not being honest. When nobody's calling, this is why we need black media. Black media should be investigating who was the money behind this bill. Why did it happen this cycle? Why didn't it happen his first year in office? And what's going on here? Like we need a deep dive. We need an Ida B. Well deep dive into what's going on in Maryland.
That part. That part.
People forget that there was a Republican governor in that state before Westmore, a Donald Trump Republican. And we're not thinking smart enough to see who did that. Somebody said, what the hell happened to Deval Patrick? Barack Obama. Barack Obama happened to Deval
Bain
Patrick.
Capital. Bain Capital.
Bain Capital.
Yeah.
Bain Capital. I mean, that's just the nature. But honestly, I don't have a clear eye on anybody.
Yeah, I think it's going to flesh itself out as time heals and time reveals. Yeah. I do want to, I guess my last statement on this show is like, we all have to figure out something because this shit is bad.
It's
right.
Real bad.
And before anybody looks at this show and thinks that somebody's right and somebody's wrong, I know what we're all on the same level of, and that is we are all losing money. It's hard to live in America right now. It's hard to pay your bills right now. It's hard to like put groceries on and I just want to say, I think all of us are from one perspective that we would like to have an America where we can actually pay our bills and live free without having to be ostracized by a dictator, right? How we go about that? Well, honestly, at the end of the day, nobody knows for certain. You know why? Because we have never gone through this before. Nobody has. There's going to be a lot. Nobody has gone through it. We can predict as much as we can, but nobody knows 100% guarantee what's about to happen in the future. So the only thing I ask y'all folks to do is protect yourself, open up your ears, and listen to a different perspective.
The only thing I ask y'all start exercising y'all Second Amendment right, Black folks. Second Amendment rights.
Pew, pew, pew.
All I ask y'all to do is know that God is bigger than anything in front of you.
Come on.
That part.
Come on.
All right. Well, thanks for watching Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. It's been great seeing you. We'll see you Saturday. Finally, maybe we'll do something Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
We want to come back. Also, folks, love yourself. Hey, man, peace out. Turn that music on. We out of here.
Put up some squirrels and some acorns in the chat as we get out of here.
Follow, like, share. Follow, like, share.
All right.
Trap squad, 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 trap squad. Hey. Clickbaity political, yeah. Thirst trap, trap squad, squirrel squad. Our mission is critical to speak the truth to the masses. Yeah. We here for the fight. We ain't started, but we here to finish it. Sick and tired of seeing the privilege, take advantage of the weak and the innocent. So we let a voice be heard every single weeknight. Unapologetic. Black people, despite this white supremacist system that we live through on a daily, we still throwing up those acorns cause we represent clickbaity. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad, throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad, yeah I see you, yeah I see you. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, thirst trap, trap squad, trap squad, trap squad, let me hear ya. Trap squad, trap squad. Throw those squirrels up if you with it. Trap squad, trap squad. Yeah, I see you, yeah, I see you. Trap squad, trap squad. Trap squad, thirst trap. Trap squad, trap squad, trap squad.